All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we're going to take a trip down memory lane. With us tonight, we've got one of our referees from quite some time ago. His name is Graeme Wright. Graeme Wright spent 10 years on the Referees Association Committee back in the day, and we're going to catch up with Graeme to talk a little bit about his career and I guess where we were at that particular point in time, and some reflections on Graeme's career. So, Graeme, thank you very much for joining me today.
No problems.
So, mate, can you tell us a little bit about your refereeing career? When did it commence, and have you always refereed at Knox?
No, I had a whole bunch of before Knox. I started probably in about 1971 or 72 when we moved to Colac from Shepparton. Although I did do some refereeing at Shepparton High School for the end of that last year I was there. That was probably in 70, and I did some there. And then when I moved to Colac, a friend of a teacher my father was a teacher who was the vice principal at Colac Tech when we moved there, and the guy that was there before him was from Colac, and his name was Duncan Stalker. So he's a name pretty well known in referee circles back in that era. Not too many people probably remember him now, but he was a good guy, and he was just starting up some comps and getting referees involved in Colac. And he said, "You want a referee?" And I said, "Yeah, all right, I'll go and referee." I was only there for a year, and we refereed in the big tin shed out at the showgrounds. So it was pretty cold in the middle of winter and pretty hot in the middle of summer. But I only had to do one season after that I got a job or employment with Telstra.
Yep.
Or PMG as it was then, and moved to Melbourne and started almost immediately. Dropped in at Albert Park one day and said, "I'm here. Here's who I am. Want to help?" And that went on for the 3 or 4 years, on and off. I guess I met with Eddie in the early days, and he encouraged me. I had a unit or a flat in South Yarra, and I was the only one who was a referee, but it was pretty close to Albert Park. It took me about 5 minutes to drive round there. And I was there probably 2 or 3 nights a week, Saturday mornings for the couple of years I was there, except when I returned to Geelong to do some training in Geelong at the tech school or the college here. So that was also happening, and I didn't do a lot in the first couple of years where I was in Geelong. I didn't do a lot of refereeing here in Geelong, but I decided one year, well, I was getting into this pretty well at Albert Park, I might as well come and do some here in Geelong. So I got with a guy named Howard Dandy, who's pretty well known around the traps as a referee, and he was the head in there, and we used to run up and down the St Mary's Hall before they had their own basketball stadium, which came probably in about 1974 or 5, I can't remember exactly. They built a big one out at way out the other side of Geelong, was on the edge of it early days, and then eventually it moved into a big centre in the centre of Geelong near the North Geelong railway station. So lots of time in those ones as well.
Lovely. So when did you make your way to Knox?
Say that again.
When did you make your way to start refereeing at Knox?
In 1976, I got married and we moved to Ferntree Gully. Lived up in the top end of Ferntree Gully, and in the flatlands of Ferntree Gully, really, not the top end, but up not far from where the stadium was built. So I probably didn't ref a lot there the first year we were there because I had gigs that I was already doing down at Albert Park, so I did the drive in there. But probably in the year after, I reckon. I don't remember exactly. You've probably got paperwork that tells you more accurately than me, but probably about 90, 97, I suppose, something like that.
Okay. So you did spend a pretty significant amount of time on the Referees Association Committee. You're on the committee for 10 years and you held a variety of different positions, Vice President, Treasurer and General Committee Member. Can you tell us a little bit about that particular point in time and also, I guess, some of your contribution across those 10 years?
Well, I guess it was a time where, we were looking to improve and go somewhere as an association. So it was, the referees were in, and I presume they still are, but unlike Albert Park, the operation was in the hands of Lindsay, and the referees were in the hands of Neil Bradbury, and never the twain shall meet sort of thing unless you're at the top of the tree. But out at Knox, we were all, we were considered part of the association, and so the referees were contributors to the way it grew. And over the time, I suppose there were a lot of the referees who served at some point or other on the association committee, which was good. Man, they got the committee got the view of the people who were running up and down the outside of the court, as well as the people who were participating in the game. So it was a good organisation, and there are a lot of people who did a lot of work there. And some of the names I'd forgotten when I went to the reunion there a year or so ago, and but there were a lot of people who did put in a lot of work, and guys like Neil and others over a long piece of time where all had times where they served on the basketball side of it as opposed to just the referee side of it. So I decided I'd do that for a while, but I think it was probably called the referees representative on the association committee or something like that. I don't remember the exact terms.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. And so what would you say, across your time at Knox, was your greatest achievement, I guess, on the court and off the court?
Well, probably just being a participant there and improving my own refereeing. So I was able to come back with, level 2 accreditation from the work we did at Albert Park, and use that to try and help and train new referees at Knox. So there was a lot of effort put into it there, and I was probably a significant part of that. By the time we got to 96, 97, I was already trained as a teacher, essentially, for PMG in those days. And so I'd done all the training that was required for a certificate in workplace learning, as it would be called now. And so that was a great aid in what we needed to do in running training courses for referees, just so that we got some, some structure into it that enabled people to understand what they needed to do and how they would learn to play and so on, and to referee.
Lovely. And so you helped with some of the referee courses, is that right?
I did. Yeah, I did. I can't remember who else was on them. Names.
Probably Keith Vaughan, maybe.
Yeah. There were a few like that. Some names that popped up at the reunion there. I thought, oh yeah. And people come and sat with me. Yeah, we did that. Okay, righto. So and of course, Neil was a contributor as well on that. So Neil Quinn. So there was a lot of good times, and we put in a lot of effort. I had my kids there, and they played. Under 9s and under 10 sort of thing in those days. So.
Lovely. And so you've mentioned a couple of names so far, but who were some of your biggest influences as you progressed your refereeing career?
Probably more those that I refereed with at Albert Park, for obvious reasons. That they were people who'd been at the top of the tree and enabled me to learn from them. And we did Wednesday nights in there, which was I think at the time wasn't a night that had much going at Knox. So I went in regularly, and a couple of others came on and off over the years. But people in there like Neil Bradbury and Eddie Crouch, and Les Dick and Dick Mason. So they were the four who were the top of the tree in there, and Dick Mason was a referee, and at the top level had ref the Olympics one year. I don't remember which one he did. Maybe he did the Melbourne Olympics, I think. So he'd been around a long time. and a very intelligent man, he just had one beat on life. He wasn't very happy with his parents because when he was about, I don't know, 9 or 10, he was over 6 feet, and they had him on some drugs that prevented him more. He never, he grew to 6'3" or something, but he would have gone to 7.
And that was about it.
Yeah, so he wasn't very happy with him, but he was a lovely bloke and he was a good referee and taught us a lot.
Lovely. And so what about, you talked about the fact that your refereeing started in the early 70s, and the records that I've got show that you were at Knox in the 80s and 90s. What did being part of that, that crew of guys who were trying to help the development of refereeing at Knox, how did it feel and what did it mean to you?
Oh, well, it was good because we knew we could see improvement all the time. So, by the end of those 10 years, we could see that the programs we'd put in place, along with all the others who all helped us, with Neil and I and a couple of others were there most of the time through that, and it helped to generate a standard that we were able to use with newcomers who said, look, we've got a program here now. If you want to be a referee, we'll nurture you and we'll take you through the right places and try and get people there, because it was difficult beforehand. Nobody wanted to be a referee because they knew what would happen on the court when they got there. They were going to get abused. I mean, because they played and they'd been part of it. So it was a matter of teaching. That was probably the fundamental in those days of teaching them how to cop it and not give back. So it's
very good. Good.
We tried to do fairly often and get it all right for everybody.
So you mentioned a couple of times, you talked about the reunion in 2018. In October, we had the 40-year dinner. What were your thoughts on the night? And I guess, what are your thoughts on where things have ended up today from where it all started?
Yeah, well, it was a good night to go along and meet people, and I knew a whole bunch of faces, and I didn't know a whole bunch of names, and which was a bit tricky for a while. And then, but the people who were there who developed and ran Knoxos, other than a couple that had passed on, but it was good to go back and chat with some of those people at the time and catch up with names. I haven't thought about that bloke in a long time, and so on. So I think that tripped me off doing some things with hunting down people and where they were. I mean, I used to go and see Neil reasonably frequently, even though I live in Geelong now, and but we'd go back up there, and if we were up Knox Way, we'd go and see Neil. But now he's gone to Tasmania, so that's a bit of a downer. So we'll catch up with him soon and arrange something. In fact, we tried to arrange something before this. Neil was, have you interviewed him yet or not, or is that coming?
Neil is being interviewed in 5 days' time.
Okay. So we were going to get together. He said, we'll get together. And so we still got a chance, because he said, I contacted John Quilty and he was going to be in as well. So, a couple of names from the past, and haven't been able to track down Doug Meaton. Nobody seems to know what's happened to him. So
I've got some contacts for Doug. I can hand them on to you when we're finished, if you like.
That'll be good. Yeah, it was. So those guys were, a good part of the association as well. They all helped them, in that level. Some not necessarily on the committee or anything, but they certainly were there and helped us when, if Neil and I wanted activities, managed around the referees, then those blokes were prepared to help out, which was really good.
Lovely. So, mate, that's the questions I've got for you. Probably in finishing, I just want to say thanks for your contribution over many, many years. The referees program is doing particularly well today. We've got the largest member base of any referees program in Victoria. We've got the most number of panel representatives across the junior panel in Victoria. And we've also got over 15 referees who are on our senior panels. And I think that's a reflection of the hard work that was done a long time ago. So from me and all of the other referees who are here today, thanks very much for your contribution over time, mate.
No problem. It was an enjoyable time, and and I kept at it for a little while till I finally ran out of physical steam and jumped out. But I did much the same thing with Howard Dandy here in Geelong, and we developed a few. We developed a lot of new referees down here because they didn't have too many when I came in. We pushed Howard along, and that's what we did. We used the program sort of things that we'd done at Knox to help out here in Geelong, which was good.
Lovely. All right. Well, thanks very much, Graeme. Appreciate it.